Hello everyone, welcome back to Almost Inevitable Tutorials. My name is still PK, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to make repeater fields work like flexible fields. So this is something that I've seen people occasionally ask in various groups. Can we use flexible fields in a page builder? Currently, no. There's no page builder out there that will allow us to do this aside from just writing the whole page in PHP, which is great if some page builders do that, and they do. And I personally enjoy doing that, but we're all here to talk about page builders. So we need to find a way to do it in, page builders. So an ACF field, flexible field, is a huge group of fields that have smaller groups acting as modules to offer multiple layouts for the users to load and edit content easily. Repeater fields are almost the same, but it doesn't have the option of having different layouts, different modules. It's just the same module repeated. However, when writing PHP for them, the difference is basically having a condition to differentiate the layouts. So we can actually do this in the page builder, all right? And some great examples of how you can actually use this approach in your web building. You can use this for things like making a series of templated subpages that will stick to a certain set of layouts. Pages like individual services pages, staff member pages, and even case study pages can all be great to use this method, since they usually have a set of layouts often reused for those types of pages. And that's where Breakdance comes in. It supports repeater fields and it has conditions. So we can actually do something pretty similar, okay? Now please note that this will also most likely work with bricks and oxygen builders as well, because they also support repeater fields and conditions. So to start with, you'll need ACF Pro because it has a repeater field, and you'll also need Breakdance because that's my builder of choice in this video. Okay, let's get started. So you see here we have ACF Pro and we have Breakdance. That's all we need for this tutorial. So let's start with making a new field group, and we're gonna add new. I'm gonna call this page sub services. Now I do this just so it's easier when it's all together, when you have a lot of field groups and they're all in alphabetic order. So page is easy to put there, and then it's sub page and then services. Okay, so let's start with the repeater field. There we go. And this is services repeater. And let's add a field. Now to start with adding the first field, you have to remember that flexible fields and repeater fields are different because flexible fields have conditions, and we're going to add a specific condition for that, okay? And in order to do this, you can use radio buttons or you can use button groups. Now radio buttons are just a list of the options, and button groups look better, so I like that more. You can, and we'll go add that button group. And if the titles of the layouts are a little too long, it might not look good in a button group. So it's up to you, but I use button groups because it looks better in the end. Okay, so this would be the layout type. And we're going to add a couple of layouts like hero section. Now you see that there's a little space in between the colon and the title. So that's the value and the label, all right? You need a space between that, okay? It's very important. I've had trouble when it didn't have that and it just didn't work, and it was just because of space. So you need to remember space, colon, space, okay? All right, image, text. Now these are values that are a shortened, abbreviated version of what you're going to be showing to the user. So this can be expanded out like this, but just written in a abbreviated way on the as a value, that is. Let's do that. Text, image. And let's add something like a CTA banner. Okay. All right, that looks good. Now, it's always on horizontal by default, so it doesn't matter. I like it horizontal because it looks like tabs on the top. So let's keep it like that. Next, let's add a field. Because we have a hero section, image text, text image, and CTA banner, we'll need an image for the hero and the other two over there, right? So the CTA banner will probably not need an image. The hero, in this case, and just to show you some conditions, okay? So we're gonna do that. Let's start with an image, right? Now this would be a section image. It doesn't really matter. You can actually use different images for each of these layouts, but you don't really need to because all you need is a image, okay? An image, right? Okay, and because we're not using an image in the CTA banner, and the reason for this is because I just wanted to show you how conditional logic works. We're going to add a condition to this, okay? So here we're going to turn that on, and if the services repeat no, the layout type is not equal to CTA banner, you will see this. If it does equal to it, you won't see it. Okay? All right, cool. So that's good. Let's keep that there. And we're going to do text fields. Now, for text fields, you can use a regular, if you use just a text field, it looks like this, just a single line, which is most likely not enough. But this would be good for headers, so we're going to do that as a heading. So section heading works pretty well in this case. All right, section heading. And you can add, for the content, the main content, you can use something like a text area. But if you use a text area, that means that the client will have to write their own anchor tags if they want to add a link, for example, etc., etc. If they want to do a list, they'll have to write their ULs and LIs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use a WYSIWYG editor. It looks like it's like a tiny MCE editor, and it's, I think, the best choice for clients if they're using this back end. Okay, so section text. Why? Okay, my typing is terrible today. All right, so section text content, there we go. And we're gonna add a button. Now you can add a link, you can add a URL like that, but you will need to add a button label. All right, so we'll do that in a second. All right, so CTA URL, okay? And we're gonna add a text field, CTA button label. All right, I think having the label in front is better. Okay, so we're gonna put this into block mode because it looks better. But right now, these will all be stacked in a single row, a single column with stacked as rows. That is not necessarily the best looking solution. So one thing that I do suggest that you might look at is a ACF add-on called ACF columns. This one works really well, and I really like this one. But in Breakdance, when you load ACF fields and you want to assign the right fields, it loads the column as a separate field as well. So sometimes it can get a little bit confusing. That's why I'm not using it here, but it is a really good solution in making the layouts look a lot better. We're not going to be using that, so what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be adding widths, 50% here and 50% here. Now the reason why I use columns and not widths for everything is because if you want a set of fields in one column and maybe one or two mismatching, like the number or the heights are mismatching, then it's better to have columns and not percentages, because the percentages float, so they all just stick to the left in this case. So it's a little different, but you know, it works well. If we have a look at this, what you're going to be seeing now is the image will be on its own row, the heading on its own row, text content on its own row, and then the button label and URL will be 50-50. I think we'll leave the image separately, and we'll get the heading and the text into its own 50% as well, because the image is the only one that will appear and disappear depending on the conditions. So that means that we have the button group, the image, and then double columns on below. Okay? All right. So this is done. Now, we need to assign this to a page. And in order to do that, let's go here. And I've already set up services as a page and graphic design as a sub page. All right. So we're going to target any page that is a sub page of services. Okay. So in order to do that, you need to go to page parent is equal to services. And that's it. Okay. There we go. Now, graphic design is already a subpage of services. And if we're going to be adding a new page, what you can see, and it's a little hard to see because it's down here, I'll pull this out and just scrunch this up so you can see it a little easily. There we go. So in parent, you can actually assign it as services like that. And it will, as you can see, you get the ACF field now. Okay. So that's what we can do. All right. I won't be using this page because this is a new one. I just made this so I can show you how to assign a parent on the back end here. You can also do that in Quick Edit. All right, so you can also add parent here in Quick Edit. So that's another way of doing it. You can do this. You can do multiple pages with Quick Edit if you wanted to. All right, so let's go into graphic design, and you can see that it already has this ACF field here. Okay, now you don't see anything yet. You're going to add rows like that, and there we go. All right. Oh, by the way, here's another cool tip. The text content, you can go here, and we should probably turn off the media upload buttons, and we'll delay initialization, because that means that as opposed to this, and then that means that people will be uploading images directly in here, which we don't want. We also get this, right? So it doesn't load yet. It's not activated yet until you click onto it. And there you go. Okay, so this saves time on the load for the back end. And I think it's a more elegant way of doing it. Okay. All right, so here we have hero, image, text, text, image, CTA banner. If we click on CTA banner, that image is gone. All right, but if hero, we add the image. Now I'll be populating this. You'll see a jump cut for a minute, and we're back. So you can see here, hero section. This is going to be the background that we're going to use for the hero section. This is the heading, and we have text here. We don't need that much text in the hero, so I'll just take that out. And then we have a button. All right, and then we have an image text layout, and then a text image layout, and we also have the CTA banner here below. Okay, so we're going to save all of this. That's all good. Now, if you go to edit in Breakdance, it would work as a repeater field, but we're not going to do that. We need to set up the global block first, and then we'll set up the template, and this will all be automatic, so the client will only be dealing with the backend setup in ACF. In Breakdance, we're going to go to global blocks and set up a global block. All right, add a global block, and we're going to title it same way. Put the type of block first, and then put the description later. Basically using BEM as sort of a general guideline of how you write everything, because that makes it easier to append things to the end, and everything is alphabetic order. Okay, so we'll call this global block. It's a global block. We don't need to do that. Just call it block repeater. And this is subpage of service. Okay. Services. Cool. Let's build it. Okay, now because this is a global block, you don't have to start with a section. However, because this is also a global block, and that is the main part of the layout on the page, it could be a section. It's up to you, but it could be a section. I'm going to be using sections here because later we're going to assign the whole template as main. All right. Now there is a little bit of divs. It's not like horrendously bad, but it has like 2 or 3 more divs than you would if it were coded directly in PHP. It's not a problem at all compared to like Elementor, for example. So it's not a problem. I'm just going to be using sections in this case, but feel free to use divs at 100% width. Okay. All right. So let's start with a section, and the background is going to be an image, and the image is coming from, as you can see in ACF now, you have services repeater, and we're not using the block image text. That's a totally different field group. We're using services repeater, and there's section image here, so we're going to use that. There we go. Okay. And we're going to add some text. Let's add a heading and some text and a button. Okay, cool. So now styling is all up to you. I won't be touching any of the styling except for the bare basics where we need to get this to look a certain way. Okay, so we'll add section heading here. There we go. And we'll add section content, and this button here will be the button label, and the link will be CK button. All right. Now, I guess it would be better if the color was white here, and this would also have white text as well. Just add that. Okay. Yeah, and let's also add a little bit of gap there, and it should be good. Just build it like you would a regular hero section. Oh, here's a quick tip when you're adding buttons here, because if the button doesn't have the content, it will still show and it'll look ugly. We don't want that, right? So you don't necessarily have to for everything, but before you start duplicating this and stuff, I think a great way, because I'm editing this and this will go inside, this will go between me duplicating it. So you'll see me duplicating this and rebuilding it in a minute, but before we do that, a nice way of making it even smarter is to add, for example, in this case, add a condition where it has a dynamic field of, where'd it go? All right, let's add a button label, all right, and is not empty, all right? So if it is not empty, then show this button, okay? We can do that for the other ones as well if you really feel like it's important. I'm pressing D, by the way. Yeah, so what is it? Section text content is not empty. Now these are all conditions that you would normally build into the PHP when you're writing it from scratch. So it's definitely something that you could do just to make sure that it's fine. All right, so if it doesn't have any content in the hero, then in the button or in the text or whatever, then it won't show. Okay, so that is a great way of getting things to load, to work dynamically. There we go. Now, the best part about this is now what you can do is you can give this section a condition. Remember, we're talking about conditions. Flexible fields have conditions, repeater fields don't. So we're going to add a condition so it'll work. Okay, now when you're editing conditions, you're going to add that as, oh yeah, this is one thing that I found. Just press D and then you get dynamic data. Oh, so this is wonderful UI. I really like how, and they're adding more. I've seen from previews, so they're adding more like keyboard shortcuts, which I love. It really makes the development process easy, especially when you're using a builder. Anyway, so let's go and look at the layout type. Now, if the layout type is, and here's what you need to be adding to that field there. So you see layout type, and remember how I told you about getting that space there between the value and stuff? So we're adding that hero in here, okay? So now when that button group says hero section, this is what's gonna load, all right? So we're gonna duplicate this, and we don't need the background in this case. We're not doing that, all right? And we should probably get that text back to default colors. Yeah. And that's fine because it's all assigned. We're using the same field, we're using the same group inside the repeater, so it should be fine. The only difference is we're gonna give it a different condition. But let's make this look like the image, image text that we need before we do that. Okay, so let's add a column. Let's give it 2 columns like that. And the heading image text. So image should come first, right? Yep, there we go. And then in the column, we'll add an image like that. And this image comes from the section image. There we go. All right, don't worry about what's loading right now. As long as it pulls through, we're going to give it a different condition and it will work because this is a repeater field. All right, now we're going to change the condition to, image text. There we go. Cool. Let's duplicate that and swap the order. And now this one will be we'll have the condition of text image. Okay. We can add another one. I'll duplicate the top one, the hero, because there we go. The only thing we're going to take out is the type. Yeah, we don't need an image, so that doesn't matter. Text, we don't need that color there. We don't need that color there either. And there we go. We can, maybe we should. Maybe we can add a background color. Oh, well, we'll do that right now. Okay, that's fine. That's pretty. Okay. I don't know. All right, there we go. All good. So it's good. The only thing I guess that I'm missing right now is getting that condition to say CTA banner, and we should be good. Okay, there we go. All right, so save this. Okay, setting up the page. Now we're in templates, Breakdance templates, and because remember this, we're dealing with sub-pages of services. We can add a template and it will be a single post. We already have one, it doesn't matter because we're going to change the conditions. And this will be page sub of services, and location will be pages. Condition is the page parent is services. Okay, and there we go. So this will only target these pages because it's a subpage of services, right? So let's edit this in Breakdance. Now there's a couple of things that you do need to remember when you're building it here, because the way that the builder loads the CSS and puts things together is a little different when you're adding sections inside of sections. So I'll cover that, okay? So we're going to start with adding a section, and we're going to add a repeater field. There we go. All right, now you can see here right now, if I load that guy and the field is this guy, it works great, right? But it is inside the container of the section. So do we try making the width of this full? No, because then the container of the sections will also be affected because the CSS is inherited. So we need to block that out. Okay, we're going to cut that out. All right, and in order to do that, you need to write a little bit of CSS. So when styling the wrapping section, we're going to start with making it main, because I guess that makes a little bit of sense for semantic HTML. So we'll do that. And the thing is, if you change the width or the paddings of the section here in size, remember that it goes into full and everything inherits that. We need to write the CSS so it only targets its container and not anything inside it, because we're loading sections inside it. So that chevron does that, and then we're going to add section container. All right, and here we're going to give it width 100%, max width 100%. And you can also technically use padding, change the padding in here in the section settings in the panel, and just go to padding and take the wrapper padding and then make it 0. But because we're already here, all I'm going to do is just add one more line and give it padding 0. Now this is almost there, right? Because you can see that little padding there, and that's about it, right? We're already here, we're writing that, so we're going to add another one. I just do it like this. I'll just write it so because I'm used to seeing things written in Sass, so I think you can just write E post directly. And also make sure you close the curly brackets. All right, padding 0, and there you go, right? So this is, I think, the easiest way, as opposed to going into the options and then changing it there, because you might miss it and things like that. So this is the easiest way to do it, and you make sure that you're targeting this directly, okay? So now let's have a look on the front end. And there you go. Look great. Yep. Cool. So that's how you do that, right? So that was a lot easier than it sounded, didn't it? So I've been actually planning to include this in my new course, Advanced Breakdance, but I thought this was actually simple to explain just using the builder and just a couple lines of CSS to do this. I thought I just put this up on my YouTube channel for free, so you can actually see how great this works. And I think it's a very nice solution to a lot of, as opposed to loading templates and global blocks and trying to build things in the builder and then worrying about the client touching things and then moving things around and breaking things. You can actually just make a full-on back-end builder for them and then just load it like this, and it actually looks and works perfectly, right? So hope this helps. Please like and subscribe, and check out my courses and check out my other YouTube videos. All right, I'll see you around. Thank you. Bye.